We went to 3 meetings in total during my year. It was the orientation meeting, the Christmas meeting, and the end of the year meeting. And for the most part, they don't really bother with you that much or interact with you. I mean, they took us on a few trips, but like day-to-day interactions are a little scarce. I mean, for me, I had trouble with my counselor in the beginning because he wouldn't contact me and give me my allowance and stuff like that. But I mean, they're Italians and they're on a coffee break, so. Yeah, so that was the extent of my interaction. All right.
What did you learn to love most about the Italians or the Italian way of life? And what would you suggest that they take instruction from?
Food. Of course, it's food that I love the most. How can you not? Okay, yes, Italian cuisine is amazing. Although, of course, tons of carbs, and it was hard to keep this together. But, so yeah, I'd say food and just being able to relax. But on the same side of that coin, sometimes they're a bit too relaxed, and sometimes things don't happen. And that was definitely, I had to learn to coax people to do things whilst being diplomatic and not too pushy. Yeah, so take a little, to have them take a little initiative and do things would be nice, but that's the thing I'd change. Yes?
Yeah, I lived in Italy for about 10 years ago, and one thing that I noticed time and time again, I'd like to get your perspective of it, is I found the way that Italians conduct themselves to be by American standards just plain dangerous. Pedestrians, bicycles, motor scooters, cars, kids playing in the street, things like that. Do you agree with me, or?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Two things to support that. So some of our exchange pastimes that we did was sit out in the courtyard by the school and to explain how Italian drivers work. So the teachers would parallel park on each other in this kind of narrowish driveway. And so the teacher would go and she'd be on her break, so she's going to go home or something. And she goes and she backs up, and to know when she's backed up enough to come out of the parallel park, she has to bump the car behind her and then go forward and bump that car until she finally gets out. And it's quite amusing. And then also, I mean, I was driving with my mom back to Austria because she picked me up, and we were going up there after I finished my exchange. We had to wait 2 hours in a really clogged, like 9-lane highway to pay $2.50 for toll. That was fun. Yeah.
Talk about your school experience and classes.
Right. So school over there is way different than over here. I mean, they're definitely much less modern. I'll start with that because the school literally just got computers in there last year before we came. Before that, there was no computers, no projectors, that kind of thing. It was all chalkboard. It still is mostly chalkboard because none of the teachers understand how to use computers. Also, and then the other thing is that where here in America we have a class schedule and we go to those classrooms. Whereas in Italy you have one class of students in one room for their 5 years there, and the teachers come to them. So you're with the same people for 5 years. That was a little hard. I mean, they do become families, and it's kind of interesting to see how actually each class has a different trait. It's like, oh, that's the smart class, that's the pretty class, that's the, etc. But another thing that I'd like to point out about Italian school systems is that I was at the liceo, which means it's more of a preparatory for university, for more of the academics. I guess you could call it like AP, because they split, because you can go to a liceo or you can go to a technical school. And so technical school is more technical, like applied learning, and you're probably going to be more of a blue-collar worker if you go into that. and you have to choose your group of studies when you go into high school. So you choose like a scientific or a linguistic or an artistic, and you have to stay in that all the way up to university. So you have to choose at such a young age what you want to do, whereas here we get to pick and choose our electives, and I mean, even changing majors isn't a big deal for us, whereas them, it's going to be so hard to change if, like, year 3 of their high school, they're like, yeah, I really don't want to do scientific, I want to be a linguistics person or something like that. It's incredibly hard. Then also, another thing, school's a big part of there because you have it Monday through Saturday. You do only have it from 8 to like 12 or 2, depending on the day. But you sit in a classroom and it's very college style, where they're not hands-on. You sit and you listen to the teacher and you write down notes, and then you go home and you read pages of your book like it's your life, and then you come back and you do a test on it. So it's definitely not like American school systems where we try to apply it and all this stuff. And I don't know, I feel really bad for them because they study really hard, and then all they get out of it is being able to regurgitate facts. So if they would like to have a career outside of Italy, it's their schooling is way different. And whereas I can put what I put into the school system and get out what I put in. That's about it for school systems. Yeah.
Did they have extracurricular activities, or were you involved in any at the school?
See, the school isn't as all-encompassing as it is here. So, like, if you wanted to do sports or something, you're not going to play for your school. You're going to play for your city or your town. So technically, I wasn't because they're not part of the school. I did join like a long distance running kind of track / team. But besides that, I didn't really get into very many activities. It was mostly just you kind of like hung out with your friends, or there was sports. There wasn't like clubs or stuff like that we have here. Yeah.
Have you thought about the future, and what are your plans after high school?
Well, after high school, I'm gonna go to college. I'd like to become a bioengineer, and I'd love to be able to go with Engineers Without Borders and be able to travel around and help people all around the world. I absolutely love traveling, and this has like helped me to love it even more. So I'm really glad that I can apply my like sciencey brain to travel, not just have diplomacy and stuff like that. And that's what I love to do.
I'll follow up on your food. If you had the opportunity to be taken to a nice restaurant, what would your favorite 3-course meal be? And then secondly, I lived in, thanks to the United States Navy, in Sicily for 2 years, which, as you know, probably is another country.
Yeah.
But at that time, in the 60s, the mafia was very much evident. Is it still on the radar in terms of the Italian consciousness?
As the mafia, yes, it is, especially in the South. For example, my second host family, they were part of a group to help counteract and stop the mafia, and they went to regular meetings. So it is still prevalent, and especially in the South. I didn't see much of it firsthand. There wasn't much in my town, and there wasn't much in the surrounding area, especially up north, but I definitely heard that down south is still a problem, and they still control a lot of the market. So yeah, it's still pretty prevalent. I don't know the magnitude of how much of it's decreased from back then, since I don't know my facts, sorry. But yeah. As for that meal, let's see, for first course, I have to put down some prosciutto with melon. It's literally favorite thing for that antipasta. I don't know why. It's so delicious. But and then second course, I have to put down See, there's this spaghetti dinner that my first host family made for me the first time I went there, and it was really simple. It was just spaghetti and some like oil with like sun-dried tomatoes, but somehow it was like the most amazing thing I've ever tasted in my life. It was like, how do these three ingredients work together so perfectly? So that'd be my main course. And as for the final, there's so much, this is so hard. My first host family had a tradition of having fruit after every meal, and she made this really good like spiced pear in the oven, and it was like cinnamon, kind of like a cinnamon pear, baked cinnamon pear thing. It was awesome, so I'd like to say that's my final ending.
Thank you.
Any news of our country over there?
Over there? Yeah, we're pretty much all fat, right, of course. Negative opinions. That's pretty much the biggest one. It's like we're fat, and I guess some of them like question our intellect. But they were really excited that Obama was elected, and I guess that raises their hopes. I don't know. Anyways, yes.
Where are you going to school?
Now?
Or where are you going to college?
College? I haven't been like formally accepted into them yet. I just put in like my applications for most of them. But my top schools right now are University of Victoria, University of Saskatchewan, and Montana State, of course. Anything else?